Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. National Covenant. Work of the Seven Seals. Sisters and brothers, this is wartime. Anyone can see the world is going to war. Actually, the world is in a state of war right now. But it's about to hit the boiling point. And most people, 99.9% of people on the planet, have no idea what to expect. Most not even aware that a war is about to take place. But those who are aware, they have expectations. Some want the war. They have anticipations again. However, they have no idea how this is going to end. They think they do. They don't. 90% of people on the planet that's even thinking about this war expects it to go in a way that's not going to go. They talk about prophecy. They talk about the Bible, the Quran, and both those books tell exactly how it's going to happen, but they must read them. The Abomination of Desolation, that's the key. That's the trigger. Because most people understand that this whole reality we're living in, the entire reality we're living in, right, boils down to the Abomination of Desolation. What is the Abomination of Desolation? What is it? The Abomination of Desolation. You need to know what it is. I mean, it's paramount that you know what it is because it tells you that. Because when you see it, flee. Flee for your lives. Because that's what you're fleeing for. You're fleeing for your lives. You're fleeing for your very lives. You better read that thing carefully. You're fleeing for your very lives. But you have to flee immediately. But if you don't know what it is, how can you flee immediately? You see? And this is a time of unprecedented trouble. Then I explain these things correctly to you, brothers and sisters. They say, oh, the time of unprecedented trouble coming. It's going to be Armageddon, right? It's going to be the rapture, right? And all these different things. That's not scriptural. And if you just look at the Abomination of Desolation, that'll bring everything into focus, a lot of things into focus. Because then you got to flee. So that means there's not going to be no rapture for those people. It says flee. Right? Immediately. Don't think about it. You can't go get your cell phone. You can't make a text. You can't tell your brother, sister. Right? You can't tell your mother, father. You just have to flee. That's an emergency. I mean, you're fleeing from death. That's an emergency. Think about it. That's an emergency. Like you've never seen before. It's time of unprecedented trouble. That means all the things that you can imagine that's happened to Earth as long as Earth has been here. Some people say billions of years, some people say trillions of years. But all the things that they say is happening, if this is going to be worse than all of that, anything that's going to happen in the future, is that you have to flee immediately. But don't say you flee to heaven. Don't say you flee to rapture. You flee to the mountains. And where are you fleeing from? They don't tell you. But if you flee like that, you must be fleeing about somebody. You must be fleeing about things that's around you. If you have to flee like that, if you can't go back in the house, that means somebody in the house tonight is the one that's going to take you out. A neighbor. If you're fleeing like that, you need to think this thing through, brothers and sisters. And the thing that's triggering this whole affair is the Abomination of Desolation. But you don't even know what that is. You have no idea what that is. But that's what you're fleeing. You're fleeing when you see it. So if you don't recognize it, think about it. If you don't recognize it, then you're dead. Because you have to flee once you recognize it. No, you have to flee immediately once it happens. Not when you recognize it. Because you may recognize it after it happens. Oh man, that was happened. Yeah, that happened yesterday. No. You have to see it as it happened in real time. You have to recognize it as happening in real time. You have to flee in real time. You better put this together, brothers and sisters, but you have no idea about any of that. So if it happens right today or tomorrow, how would you know? That means if you don't know, you're dead. You're dead already. Because you don't even know what you're fleeing from. And you don't even know what you're... Pick up here. Well, you don't even know what you're fleeing to. You don't even know what you're fleeing to. You don't know what you're fleeing from. You know where you're fleeing to. So flee to the mountains. I'm not talking about real mountains. If it is, what mountains? Is that the whole world that's fleeing? Who's fleeing? It said those who are in Judah, you think that's over the Middle East. That's not what it's talking about. I don't even know if there's any mountains over there. I guess there is. You have no idea. See, it's a universal thing. It says flee. But you have to know who Judah is. And then it tells you, where is this abomination of desolation going to take place at? Where is it going to take place? It says it's going to take place in a holy place. Where holy? Where's the holy place in the world? Where's the only place in the world that is considered holy by almost every religion? We can't say Mecca because then you'd be talking about just the Muslims. That means the abomination of desolation be staying in Mecca. Right? That means that people have to flee. Those people have to, and Arabia has to flee. So you're saying those, are you Christians? Are you saying those the people that Jesus is going to protect? You mean the abomination of desolation be staying in Mecca? That's the holy place? That's not a holy place to you. So what was going to be in Beijing? Nobody except holy place, but maybe the Chinese. See? In Delhi? Right? In India? No, the holy place that's recognized in the world is Jerusalem. It tells you. It says you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, so that's the place. So it said when you see abomination of desolation standing in the place where it should not be, in a holy place, and it should not be there. It's standing in a holy place, but it should not be there. It's standing in Jerusalem, but it should not be there. It's standing in Jerusalem, but it should not be there. Read it. So who's standing in Jerusalem that should not be there? See? That's the question. See? Who's standing in Jerusalem, in control of Jerusalem, that should not be there? You're saying the people over there that you call Israel, you're saying that's them? You're saying they should not be there? Should they? That's the question. Because you're the one saying that they're Israel. See, it's in the name Israel. Where that name came from? Israel? Is it real? Brothers and sisters, the scriptures are amazing until you understand them. But what did Jesus have to say about that? What did Jesus... See, you don't put these things together. There's these preachers out there that are demons. You know what a demon is? A demon is master's children. They're the master's children to rape. So they look like us. They walk like us, talk like... They ain't us. The master's children. The master's seed. It told you about that. About how the chaff was sown amongst the wheat. But let them grow together to the harvest. Then they be separated out. That's the demons. That's master's children. That's the preachers out there. See? They're doing the same thing I was doing back in chain slavery. Convincing you to obey master. The golden American dream. No. Don't talk about the Abrahamic covenant, which most of you have no idea about. The Abrahamic covenant. That's what it's all about. It's all about the Abrahamic covenant. Now, what's the Abrahamic covenant? What is the Abrahamic covenant? It says, your seed will be in a land that is not theirs. for 400 years. That means they had to be taken away because it ain't their land. They'd be taken there, this land. See? And they'd be oppressed and afflicted for 400 years. And then after 40 years, right, plagues would begin to start. The first of the plagues would be to kill the firstborn, which is the elderly. As a series of 9 plagues, the last one forcing them to force us out of here. They drive us out. When you drive somebody, when you drive somebody, that's under force. You get back to fleeing again. Or somebody driving you out under force. But you put 2 and 2 together here. 2 and 2, right? It's not 22, it's 4. So you go back there and look at it. Well, what did Jesus say about it? Jesus said, no, you said, you're not Jews. What it says in Revelation says, those who say they're Jews but are not, the synagogue of Satan. What did Jesus say about it? Jesus said, no, you're not. He said, your father's the devil. So you're not seeing Abraham. And then they validated what he says, because he says, know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And what did they say? What do you mean free? We ain't never been in prison by anybody. Now think about it. This, according to what they tell you, this happened 2,000 years ago. The prophet Jesus was around, right? But the Exodus, this slavery that they claim they went through, happened 4,000 years ago. But they're saying they've never been in prison or slave by anybody. So that means they're telling you that never happened to them. That's not their history. Go to admit it. And Jesus said it says in ancient history. They said, Jesus said, no, you're not seeing Abraham. They said, yeah, you're right, because we never been enslaving anybody. But we have, from 1619 to 2019, 400 years. 400 years. 1619 to 2019, 400 years. 2020 came out a plague that killed the elderly, the firstborn. There it is, brother, sister. I'm not making it up. It is. And the plagues keep coming and coming and coming. And America's been under divine plagues since 2020. You never seen anything like this. One problem after another. 9, the weather's one of the plagues, right? Locusts, another. You understand locusts, but all this crime, all those are the plagues. America's, and they're not coming out. They keep saying, oh, he's going to come out of this, it's going to come. No. And once these things start, they never get better. They get worse and worse and worse. These plagues, they get, and they think, oh, it's over. No, the worst is yet to come. America's under divine plagues right now because of us. Because it's time for us to go home. See? And they got the demons all over the place. It tells you in Mark. The chief demon Farrakhan, he's telling you, he's speaking all along with them. He's saying, you ain't going nowhere. But he claims he's representing Elijah Muhammad. He claims he represents Master Muhammad. If you read Elijah Muhammad's teachings and Master Muhammad, that's the whole purpose, that's the whole reason why they did what they did, made the sacrifice for all those years. They prepare us to go home. Elijah Muhammad said, if we had the tapes, we'd be fools to want to stay in the land of our imprisonment. So why is Farrakhan follows the devil? His follows the devil. Makes him a demon. He ain't one of us. He's skinfolk. He claims he's the son of man, but he ain't got no woolly hair. He ain't got no brown skin. Plus, on top of all that, he got 2 feet in the grave. How you gonna accomplish all these things he claims he's gonna accomplish? He can't even walk. But he's telling you, no, you ain't going nowhere. And devils ain't devils anymore. He's hugging and kissing on them. Okay. You have to put these things together. He's the son of perdition, because it tells you what happened. Aaron, who followed? First you had God. He came and talked to Moses. Those you claim with Elijah Muhammad. He first came God. He raised Elijah. Moses would go for approximately 40 years. Then he would depart. Then he would leave. He would depart and go back to the God. In his absence, Aaron was only a spokesman. That's why Aaron was just a spokesman. That's why he was only attribute, even in the Quran, his attribute as a spokesman. That's all. He wasn't an attribute as intelligent, as a Messiah, as anything but a spokesman. And he couldn't even do that. And all he did was got the people all confused. He lied to them. And the Malachi said he robbed God. That's why he was cursed with a curse. He cursed with a curse. With disembowelment, he has to crap and pee in a bag. He says he'll be cursed with a curse because he was stealing from God. He said he stole from the whole nation because he's not producing anything for us. So he's taking the money that he's from the people and using it for himself. He doesn't produce anything because he's working for Massa. He's telling you you're not going anywhere. And plus he want to make devils and say, all right. And said, you know, they said, he's son of a bitch. And said he would make war with the saints with his mouth. He was calling the mouth in Daniel. That's what all bullshit. So he made war with the saints. And he rebelled against him for 42 years, which he has. And he's a son of perdition. He lies about everything. He says, oh, the son of perdition. And it said, when you read about the son of perdition, right, it says, be not deceived. The falling away will come first, and then the man of sin will be revealed. But he switched it. He says, no, the Jews are the son of perdition. See? And that's it's an individual. But he says, all the Jews, right? See? And now he's exposing them. Now because he's exposing them, right? Now they're being, people are falling away, whatever that means. But they said, be not deceived, the falling away will come first. And what's the falling away? That's when the nation of Islam was beheaded and it fell away because they had no leadership. I was there. I was present. So I'm not talking hearsay. It fell away. And then, a couple years later, he pops up. After he had abandoned, like they say, he's the good shepherd that stands for the sheep. He wasn't a good shepherd. I was right there. He tore down the nation of Islam right with Wallace. They were standing right together. He tore it down. He thought he was going to get some money out of it, but he didn't. He threw him to the curb. He banned everybody. People went bankrupt. People starved. It was terrible because they lost everything. People put their whole lives into it, and then what he did, he ran away. They said when the wolf came, he abandoned the sheep and ran here. Just dig his ass out of some shithole in Arizona. 2 or 3 years later, he had to go get him. It was out there trying to get back on stage, shake his ass for Massa. That's a fact. Now tell me I'm lying. Tell me, Farrakhan, I'm lying. You didn't come back because you loved the nation of Islam. You wasn't coming back. But they wouldn't put Massa wouldn't give you position back on the stage. And so you was broke. You didn't have nothing. And then that brother came out there. And he gave you an opportunity. And you come back and revolt the nation of Islam. That's exactly what you did. That's why it says, when man robbed, he had robbed the whole nation, so you're cursed with a curse. He's cursed with disembowelment. Ask me, tell me any man, get a choice. Disembowel me or electrocute me. Turn on the juice. Turn on the juice. See? Told he's going to be crucified. God already crucified his ass. So he's trying to get you to forget about going back home. Because the Sunnis are paying him. Why are the Sunnis paying him? Because that's our land. Because they're over there lying too. See, because you see, the covenant of Abraham says the covenant went to Abraham's youngest son, the one by Sarah. That's Isaac. But Ishmael, Abraham's son by his maid, the oldest one, God didn't bless him with the inheritance. He blessed Isaac. But Ishmael was angry about it because I'm the oldest son. But you weren't the son that was blessed by God because God blessed one, Abraham's wife, called Sarah. And my understanding of it, Sarah means she laughed because she was old age. And God said, you can have a child. She laughed. I think that's what they tell me the word Sarah means. So when you go there now, as soon as they tell you, no, Ishmael is supposed to get the land. Because the Abrahamic covenant says the promised land now, Abrahamic covenant, the promised land, right, is Arabia. It tells you the borderlines between Euphrates and Ethiopia, I believe it says it. That's Arabia. Arabia is North Africa. Technically, really North Africa. That's what it is. They don't tell you they call it Middle East. That was North Africa. That's our land. Okay? And they're the ones thinking about Because they didn't want souls in slavery to begin with. The story of Joseph, that's another story here. They didn't want souls in slavery to begin with. See, because we came over here in 5055, but it took 64 years to turn us into slaves. That's a whole other story I'm going to talk about another time, right? So, and that's another, get back to another point. See, I was telling people this about this for years, but I broke the seals 1990. I've been telling people about this. I got the proof. My video, I didn't go and get rid of my archives. All my videos out there, right? So I don't get rid of them. That they got rid of this, but what you know, they was been saying all this time. So I've been saying 1619. That's Elijah Muhammad's official date. That's gave his master's official date of slavery, 1619. So 2019 was the end of it. I'm saying 2020 be a plague that killed the firstborn. He came out around time. See, Farrakhan didn't say anything about it. He never saw it coming. But he claims he's his master prophet. See, so it hit in January. He's already into February, 2 months later, at his so-called safest day. Didn't mention it one time, not one time. He talked about Kobe. So I guess he got Kobe mixed up with COVID. I don't know what, because he's a liar anyway. Never mentioned it one time, not even a hint of it, to my unraveling of America. But then he claims, 7 months later in July, then he talks about it. Then he claims that, oh, well, nobody knew about it until March. That's bullshit. Just heck, people was aware of it at least in January. He never mentioned it. On top of that, he should have got that one because 1619, 2019. But then, see, in response to, I'm kicking him in his ass, right? Oh, no. We started slavery in 1555, where he knows a damn lie. Elijah Muhammad says a lie. Even the record says a lie. Elijah Muhammad said that was that mystery 64 years that they hid from us because it took 64 years to convert us into the ends, right, to make us slaves. So slavery actually officially started in 1619. So he tried, because that would have meant that in that would have meant that in 1955, 1956 should have been the plague then, and there was. That means that really doesn't apply to us. That's bullshit. Everything I said I can prove. So we get back to this Abomination of Desolation. See, this thing was set in 1948 because when Elijah Muhammad proclaimed that we're the true seed of Abraham, remember, the people that's there right now, the West hated them, America hated them, the whole world hated them. So much so that they was destroying them in the 1940s in the war. The whole war was called a final solution, and that was the point. And everybody was sitting back waiting because they was going to find that was called the final solution. But they was finally going to get rid of them. They hated them. They called them Christ killers. For thousands of years they hated them. Thousands of years they hated those people that was oppressed and everything. Think about that. No respect, anything. They hate them. The only refuge they ever got was back in when the Moors controlled Spain because they ran in Spain to hide from the Europeans. Everybody hated them, and nobody tried to save them. Even when they escaped from Germany and came over here in ships, America turned them back. They knew they was turning back to their death. They hated them. And then when Elijah Muhammad said, we're the true seed of Abraham, because see, they was walking around talking about they the spiritual seed of Abraham. We said we're the true seed of Abraham. Oh, that was a problem, because we had the proof. We had documentation. They could not have. I'm not getting too much detail here, brothers and sisters, because I didn't mean to get a lot of detail here. I'm trying to understand what the Abomination of Desolation is all about. See? Because the Europeans claiming that they the spiritual seed of Abraham, because they said the covenant was taken away from the people calling themselves Jews and given to them, then they became the spiritual Abraham, and of course they're reading out the Bible and say we're Ham. See, we came from Shem, who was cursed to be slaves for the rest of their life. All his descendants were cursed to be slaves for the rest of their life. That's the whole idea. See? And so this was the promised land. So by them coming here and eradicating, taking the land, eradicating all the inhabitants, then they was doing God's will. They was good people. Nothing wrong with that. And enslaving us, nothing wrong with that either. Because God said we was cursed to be slaves. See, so in other words, they hold their head up. They're righteous people. If that's true, if they the spirit of Abraham, and this is the promised land, they say, then all that's true. So they're good people. They can say we're good people. Them now they was genocide, raping, killing, murdering, stealing people's land. No, because God said it. See, those people, they was born to be slaves, so we enslave them. Right? And if we can be good to them, then we prove we could be good. We even good people if we treat them better than God said that they should be treated, right? And if we don't, if we take the land, but we be nice to some of the people that we just behind and see, we better. We see we even better than God said we was. You see, so they didn't steal America. So God promised that to them. So these people was just in the way. They was against God's will. They should have been destroyed. You see, so therefore they got this idea. But if we're the true seed of Abraham, all that's turned on his head. Because then they're rapists, murderers, killers, they're thieves and robbers. Just like the script said, it says, devil, he goes out seeking to kill, steal, and destroy. So then that applies to them. See? So when Bible made that statement, we can't have that narrative out there because everybody's thinking we're good angels. We're good people. We're angels of light. And if that's true, it's just the opposite. So then all of a sudden, the whole attitude towards the people that was just hating for 1,000 years changed. Just changed overnight. Bam! The essence became honey pots and everybody was eating honey. Overnight, the attitude changed. And then suddenly, bam, a couple years later, they got to put them back over there to prove that they're true seed of Abraham. To destroy our claim, because we got to claim, they got to make our claim illegitimate. They got to make up a copies like that. Oh, I got all this money, right? Well, can I make a counterfeit money? So it looks like my money doesn't mean anything. I say, look, how do you know? Just look. His money is a counterfeit. See, because if you got money, so if it's a counterfeit, then there's a question, which one is the real one? See, before there's no question. So now you got the question. See? And everybody over here is going to go along with that idea because they don't want to look, they know what they'll turn to. So now I'll say a lot of these people, they put them over there, take other people's land, they murders and killers over there, right? Understand that. So if what I'm saying is correct, that means they shouldn't be there. And they're liars, they're an abomination. See? Because they're pretending they're evil, but they pretend they're good. That's an abomination in itself. They take other people's land, claiming that that's God's, doing God's will, which is abomination. You see where I'm coming from, brothers and sisters? See? So they're the ones standing in a place they should not be. While true seed Abraham is right here. We're the ones going to have to flee. Because remember, once they return, if they're true seed Abraham, once they return, they will not be uprooted. That's the covenant. It will not be uprooted. They cannot be uprooted because God's going to help them. That's why the Christians and the evangelists, right? Evangelicals, right? See, that's what they so forth. So, because if they go to war, say they pray for war, because that means that Jesus going to return. Because if they under attack and they down on their knees and they about to be destroyed, God ain't gonna let that happen because He promised they would never be uprooted. Because all the armies gathered around Jerusalem, that's what they think. It's all gathered around. So that means Jesus gonna return, man, He's gonna kill all the Muslims, everything, He's gonna get rid of all our enemies and we going to heaven. See, that's what they're hoping for. That's the expectation. And all the preachers, these demon preachers, T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar and all these other Farrakhan and all these liars, he's on board with all of that. As soon as that's Miles, they're on board with it too. See, because they've been around a rock and a hard place. See, because they know those people over there are not the true seed of Abraham. They know we are. See, but they got to go along this facade. Otherwise, they have to concede that we're the true seed and there's that land is ours. So they're all compromised. See, excuse me. So we see the war, the winds of war gathering. We see the pot's about to boil. It could happen any day now. And at that time, it was told that America and Britain, which is Gog and Magog, see chapter 20 is their history. Let me say this briefly, let me say this quickly. Read chapter 20 carefully. They tell you that's the future. That's the deception. That's already passed. That's 1,000 years. They was in the dark ages. They made up a shithole. It was a shithole as hell. It was tyranny, disease, murder, constant war, right, oppression, and everything else over there for 1,000 years. They was locked up by the rise and resurrection of the Islamic Empire. That's chapter 20. It said after 1,000 years they will come out. Gog and Magog, and they will cover the whole world. That's exactly what happened. That's America and Britain. See, for a season. And then they were going around the Holy See, means the Middle East, and they would have bring fire out of heaven inside of them. I say hellfire missiles. They bring down on the Arabs over there, and then they would be destroyed. That comes back to, that's chapter 20. So that's the deception, to make you think that that's the future. No, that's past. So that comes back to, that brings everything back together again. Because what happens? That's where over in the Middle East right now. Why is everybody focused on the Middle East? That's what it said, chapter 20. And they go to war. That's Michael and his angels go against the dragon and his angels. Michael's angels, that's FAUGHT, the ones you talking about, that's UFOs. They don't know what they're all about. They're going to find in a minute. And his angel is SHIA, who's a dragon. So they're the ones furnished. If it wasn't for them, American Britain would have the power they have. Because they get cheap energy. That's a whole other story. So how the facade, or the, right? That's the dragon. And his angels are America, Britain, and false Israel. See? There's angels. That's 666 thing. Because it was 3 and 666. One was the image of the beast. So false Israel has the same government type as Britain. That's what I mean by the image. But it was given life from America, right? Who gives it political cover, economic cover, military cover. See? And if you don't give them, if you don't worship false Israel, and if you don't obey them, then you will not be able to buy and sell. It's not bargains you get. They say you will not be able to buy and sell. We say that's sanctions. All we're doing as America and Britain, sanction the whole world. That's the 666. They got you so confused, brothers and sisters, and it's right in front of your eyes. So I'm bringing all this together. See? So think about it. Just think this through, because they don't want you to think. They want you to watch Jay-Z and all these demons of warfare confused. They want you to think that way. That's not even thinking. False Israel, they're not real. And they go, this war takes place, they go down. Everybody's expecting them to win eventually, because God help in the end. They're going to kill the enemies. If that doesn't happen, they go down, which is not supposed to happen. And that means if they go down, if they are the abomination of the place they should not be, and they go down, as it says, then what happens? There'll be shock waves through the world. Shock waves. Immediately. And that immediate calculation takes place. If they're not true seed Abraham, then we must be. And America is, am I saying it? They had that idea about there was the angels and everything, now they come face to face, look in the mirror and see who they really are. They make that calculation in a second, split second. And we are the ones that true seed Abraham. They've been oppressing, and that's what it's all about. And they always stuff in this place, and all you think you see, it's getting worse. Crime is going to get worse. It says they're going to be starving, right? They're going to be eating their own children. All this is going to happen. And when they say the Abomination of Desolation, because this is all the way you see stuff is built up towards that already, with the economy going down, the distribution change, all this stuff's already building up. The extreme weather, right? That's what's going to be the end game. The time of unprecedented trouble. Make children ready. So, because we have here now, it's going to move dramatically in a minute. But when that goes down, and they've been told in the church, because once the war starts over there, it's about to break out, they're going to be rejoicing in the churches. They're going to be rejoicing, yeah, man. Because everybody's going to know about that. Because you're going into that, it's all over the internet, man. Yeah. False Israel getting ready, Israel getting ready to take down, the war will take place, Jesus coming back. And when that happens, that They're taken down. They're not supposed to be. That cannot happen. Imagine the shock. They're not Israel. They're not Israel. And Jesus ain't coming in to save them. That calculation takes place in a nanosecond. And they look next door and realize that you see Abraham, that God's going to take vengeance on them through you. And they know what they've done to you. And they see all the things happen, because the war in Russia is going to break out immediately. The war with China is going to break out immediately. Right? We're on this trend, on the tense division right now. The crime, the demons going to go crazy as the Russians happen. And they see you, right? And some of you sitting in bed with them, cut your throat. That's why I tell you to flee once you see it. Don't wait till after it goes down. Once you see all cities are under siege, because it won't take, how long will it take? A day? A week? Because they're going to eat their own children once they're going to siege. Because those Palestinians, right, they're going to be part of it. They ain't had no mercy after what they've been through with those people. So when you see it, they're going to make that calculation. And why you got to flee? Because your next door neighbor, maybe the one you sleep in the bed with, will cut your throat. That's what Abomination of Desolation on the Bible says. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm trying to get you to understand this. You better read it. But if you don't understand, you're dead. You're already dead. If you hesitate, you're dead. But you have to know what it is. My job to make you tell you what it is. Because I said this gospel, what Injil represents, means gospel, it's in Arabic. We'll be preaching all the world, then you will come. That's my job to tell you, make you aware what this is about. So, because if you don't recognize it, you're dead already. And if you recognize it and don't move immediately, you're already dead. The wise ones, they're already, once they war spot, they're already out the way. Because you don't know where to go, even if you're eating. You know, that's why you need the message of the covenant. They talk about Malachi, that these liars that couldn't do it, you guys remember what we're talking about. Because they said, he will come to Elijah's temple. So that's firstly Joshua, because Joshua would be Jesus and God, Moses, lying Aaron for 42 years in the wilderness, and then Joshua. Joshua's same name as Jesus. One is just the way you say it in Arabic, Hebrew, in Aramaic, or Hebrew, and when you say it in Greek, you say Joshua in Greek, that's Jesus, that's the Greek name for Joshua. Joshua is the Arabic, I guess it's the Arabic name, I know it's the Aramaic name, which is a sister language. Abomination of Desolation, brothers and sisters. I'm going to spend all my time just making the next few days. I already said my commitment is totally to the subject, because that's what you need to know about abomination of desolation. So you don't have to believe it. All that crazy old man saying and stuff, just be aware of it, brothers and sisters. We're not worried about what you're eating right now, whether you eat pork or you pork, whatever, because like I said, this shit ain't in you, it's on you. Because we're on this shit all over here. All of us, I'm in it. So we ain't blaming everybody because we got shit all over us. Because shit ain't in you. Because once you get out of here, shower and you're good to go. But your captors, the shit is in them. So if you wash away shit, you try to clean up shit, you can't clean up shit. Just wash away. But you understand, brothers and sisters? Abomination of desolation. Abomination of desolation. Abomination of desolation is that place where it should not be. False Israel. Read the scriptures. Stop listening to these demons out here, because their whole purpose is to deceive you. They're being paid. Everybody around you are your enemies. Only friend you got is Joshua, Suleiman, the God, Elijah. So where does Suleiman come from? Oh, okay. I'm going to say this quickly. This statement says, Son of Man's father. So, right? It was David. That's what it says. No, David is his father. Said, that's what it says scripturally. David is Son of Man's father. So that means Son of Man will be the son of David, right? That's what it says. Said son of man, son of David. What was David's son's name? Solomon. Son of man. That's what really could doesn't mean a son of a man. I know you say, well, Elijah said he knew everything. The scriptures, I'm not going to go into all that. Solomon. It's Latin or Spanish. Sul son. Oman. That's what we're trying to, that's how son of man comes from. See? Because he was the son of David. See? David represents the master of Muhammad, the spiritual son. Understand, brothers and sisters. Abomination of desolation. Stay in a place where it should not be. When you see it, flee. See? And we're going to tell you what to flee to. See? But first of all, you gotta, if you don't flee, you don't pray. What difference does it make when you go flee to you? It ain't going to matter. Because I think you're going to be, you ain't going to be around to flee. Because it says you will not have a time to think about it. They say your destruction is going to come quickly. And if you don't flee, you can't go back in the house. You can't do anything. That's how terrible it's going to be. Because you have no idea. Now, I'm leaving with this. It says a time of unprecedented hope. When people eat lunch, it's going to be split. I mean, you can't even imagine right now sitting right here, right? Eating your chitlins and shitlins and drinking your beer, watching you from Jay-Z and stupid Kanye West. I don't know why they went to that damn thing. I was so stupid. I didn't understand damn thing he was saying. Okay, no, sisters, it's your life. I just want to leave them.